So what's going on, guys? DIY Dan here again, and this is another episode of Day-to-Day Around the House, or Backroads Arizona, depending on which way you look at it. In this video, I actually purchased a Lincoln Electric 180 HD 220 volt welder. Now, I actually added a 220 volt outlet to my garage to run this welder. However, the cord on this welder is pretty short, and I needed a 40 to 50 foot heavy-duty extension cord so I could run that welder to reach all aspects of my garage and possibly even into my side yard a little bit. These cords on Amazon are anywhere from $80 to over $100 depending on what you get. I was getting ready to purchase one of these cords on Amazon when I realized that I had a super heavy duty 110 volt extension cord that ran 10 gauge wire through it. And I never really liked using it just because it was so heavy running that thick wire, and it was so overkill for anything I would ever do as far as 110 volts go. So I actually removed the 110 volt ends off of this and put 220 volt ends on it. So most likely you're probably not going to be building your own extension cord or don't have the same situation as I do. However, if you do have an end get burnt out on a 220 volt extension cord, this video is still going to help you out. Here is a chapter index of what takes place in this video and at what times. So if you don't need to watch the whole thing, you can bypass what you don't need to see so I don't waste your time. And let's get to it. So the first thing I did before putting the ends on this extension cord was clean it off with some soapy water because it was pretty dirty and I wanted to make sure there was no damage or anything I was concerned about with this cord before using it for 220 volts. The next very critical part to this, if you're repurposing an extension cord, is making sure that it has large enough wire to even use it for 220 volts. The easiest way to determine this is go to the equipment that you're planning on running off of this extension cord and check the wire size that they are using for the power cord that it is running off of. Right here you can see that this welder is using a 3x14 AWG. And that basically means that it's a 14 gauge wire and there is 3 wires in that power cord. Now every electrical power cord is labeled in some way similar to this, whether it's a power tool, piece of equipment, or extension cord. So here's a couple quick examples of this. This is my table saw power cord, and you can see it says 14 AWG times 3 on there. This is one of my 110 volt extension cords, and you can see it says 3 times 14 AWG. So they don't always use the same terminology as far as how they label it on the cord, but it will be labeled. This one is actually just says 12-3 on it, and that means it's 12 gauge wire, 3 wire. Now the cord I'm actually using for this 220 volt extension cord I'm making has 10-3 on it, meaning 10 gauge wire, 3 wire. Now, as a general rule, I like to use extension cords with at least one bigger size wire than that of the appliance or piece of equipment I am actually using, especially if I'm using a cord that's over 25 feet long. The reason for this is the smaller the wire size, the less it dissipates heat, and therefore you can overheat your extension cord, possibly burn out the ends of your extension cord, which could cause a voltage drop and could possibly shorten the life of the tool or piece of equipment you are using this extension cord for. So my welder is using 14 gauge wire on its power supply cord, and the extension cord I'm building is using 10 gauge. So that's actually 2 wire sizes bigger than the welder, so I do not have an issue using this cord. So I removed both of the 110 volt ends off of that extension cord. And then right here, I'm just opening up the 220 volt male end. Using a pair of side cutters, I trimmed back the outer protective layer of insulation. I started with the green wire because that is the ground and is the longest wire that is needed for this 220 end. I stripped back the insulation off of that wire and twisted those wire strands together to give it a little stronger connection. Now on these 220 cord ends, the terminals actually come out of the 220 end to make it a little easier to hook up the wires. Now there's a couple things to watch out for when you are placing the wires in the cinch point. One is to make sure you've got nothing but the bare wire getting cinched, because if you cinch it down on the insulation, you might not be tightening it down on the bare wire and it could create resistance, which could create a fire hazard. And the other one is not to strip too much of the wire insulation back so you have a bunch of exposed wire past the cinch point. The only other part to this is make sure you do tighten those cinch bolts down good and tight so you do not create resistance by a loose connection. I always give the wires a good tug afterwards to make sure they do not move in that cinch point. Then I went ahead and put the ground wire in place in the cord end so I could see how much more of the outer protective layer I need to cut back so I could get the other wires hooked up in the extension cord end. When you're doing this, make sure you do not cut too much of that protective insulation off, because then you will have unprotected wires sticking out past the extension cord end that you're putting on, which does not have as clean of a look, obviously, and is not OSHA approved. So as with every project I do at least one stupid thing during every project. Right here, I forgot to grab the rubber insulator from the extension cord end before putting the ground wire on the terminal. So right here, I'm just pulling that insulator out, putting it over the wires, and then feeding the wires back into place. By just putting the ground terminal on first and putting it in place, it lets me know exactly how much wire I can cut off of the two hot legs in order to hook those up and have them be the right length so there's not a bunch of excessive wire in the extension cord end or them being too short. Now, as far as the two 120 legs, it does not matter which spade terminal they go on because they are both the exact same thing and it is alternating current. The only key to putting these wires on is making sure you do have the ground on that top pole on the U-shaped terminal. Now, these spade terminals are directional, so you do want to make sure you pay attention to that before pulling them out of the outlet. And the reason for that is they have to be timed correctly, otherwise you will not be able to get the cover on. Because there are recessed areas in that cover that line up correctly with each of the three terminals on this part of that cord end. The cover will hook in at the top and then slide down into position as long as all those tabs are lined up. I waited to tighten down the holding clamp for the extension cord to help it hold it in place until I made sure that cover went on correctly, because you might have to wiggle the spades or the ground a little bit to help line up those tabs. Once the cover completely shuts by hand, then all you have to do is put the two remaining bolts back in that cover to hold it in place. And that's all there is to putting the male end on this extension cord. Now let's get to the female. Hooking up the female end is actually a lot easier than the male. There's one screw that holds the cover in place that you need to remove, and then you will have to break off a tab in the end of the metal part of the case so you can run the wires through it. I stripped back the black and white wires this time instead of the green wire because they are the furthest connection points away from where the cord enters this side of the extension cord end. Then once again use my side cutters to cut back the outer protective layer of insulation around the cord so I could hook those wires up. I didn't like how small the cord was going through that big opening, so I just added a little piece of hose to go over that cord to tighten that gap up a little bit. This isn't absolutely necessary, but it's just something I decided to do. So I'm going to show you guys really quick how you can check to make sure you've got each wire in the exact same location on this extension cord end, even though it doesn't really matter on the two 120 legs because it is alternating current. So right here, I just set the female end down next to the male end like I was going to plug it into itself. And I've got my multimeter here and I've got it set to continuity or ohms. Then I put my one test lead on the green wire of the cord and the other test lead on the U spade terminal on the end I already did, and you can see it went to 0, telling you that that is that wire. Then I went ahead and put my test lead on the white wire and see which spade terminal that was connected to, and in this case it was the smaller of the two spade terminals. Then I went ahead and tested the black wire and it was obviously going to the big spade terminal. So once again, the two 120 legs don't really matter, just as long as you get that ground wire in the right position. I went ahead and fed my cord through that hole that we punched out on that metal case. There's also another hole on the back part of this extension cord end if you choose to use that one instead, depending on your application. I loosened the cinch bolt for the large spade terminal and put my black wire in place and tighten that one down. Once again, make sure you have enough insulation stripped back so you don't cinch that bolt down on that insulation, but make sure you don't have too much stripped back where you could possibly ground out to something else in the outlet. And make sure you tighten those cinch bolts down nice and tight so you don't possibly end up with a loose connection. Once getting the black one in place and tightening it down, I went ahead and put the white on the small spade connector and tightened that one down as well. Once getting the 2 hot leads done, I went ahead and cut the ground to length, stripped back the insulation on that wire, twisted the wire strands together to give it a stronger connection in a cinch application like this. Loosened my cinch bolt, put the wire in, and tightened it down. Once again, make sure you tighten those cinch bolts down nice and tight. You do not want a loose connection on an application like this because that could create heat, which could lead to a possible fire hazard and also lead to a voltage drop, which could shorten the lifespan of the equipment that you're using off of this cord. Once you get all 3 of those wires hooked up and tightened down, there is a clamp that helps hold that extension cord into that extension cord end. When putting this clamp on, what I like to do is put the bottom in place and push it up to the bottom of the extension cord and then tighten it down. Then put the top piece on and cinch those bolts down to help hold that cord in that end. Now this is where my extra piece of hose just adds a little bit more protection to that, but it wasn't absolutely necessary. Another thing I like to do on these 220 volt extension cords is add a foot plate to the female end of the cord. This just makes it easier to plug and unplug the cord. I had a piece of plastic that I used, but you could also just use a piece of wood. There's a spot for 3 screws to be added to that metal housing to attach it. Once getting that done, I just put my cover plate over the top of it and tighten the single screw that holds that in place. Once it was all said and done, I went ahead and plugged it into my wall and took my voltmeter and put it on AC volts to verify that I had the correct voltages at the female end. And I had 250 between my 2 spade terminals and then 125 between my ground and each spade terminal. So after adding that outlet to my garage and then making this extension cord, getting my welder up and running, one of the first projects that I ended up doing was adding an electric power steering to one of my sand cars, and that video will be coming up shortly. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and it gave you some good information. If so, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. The whole concept of my channel is to give you guys the most information in the least amount of time as possible so I don't waste your time. And I hope to see you next time. Later.